Hello, my friends, and welcome back. Thank you very much for being with me again today. I have here a short clip of Senator John Kennedy. And I've been watching Senator John Kennedy for some time when he was part of the panel, for instance, in the confirmation commissions, or trying to ask questions. And I find him very, very smart. Very smart. I like his style, and I watched a few of his videos, maybe about 40, I would say. And he uses the same tactics over and over again, but he's a smart guy. He's not an imbecile. I have here this video clip when he's asked about the White House's policy regarding Russia and Vladimir Putin and the attempt to end the war in Ukraine. And John Kennedy, the senator, he is dumb, or he pretends he is, because whatever I'm going to play for you doesn't leave anything else, but he plays. He can't be that dumb. Why? Because, as I said, I watched him. I liked the way he interrogates certain people who want to be we call that confirmed, and for various bureaucratic positions in the government. And I can't believe he's so dumb, because I don't think he's dumb. So it's incompetence or ill will. It's either you say things because you are a pig, or you say things that you're dumb. I already established that John Kennedy is not dumb. So I don't know what else could be. Misinformed, uninformed? I don't think so. He's going to tell us that Vladimir Putin, the ruler of the president of the Russian Federation, is just a bad guy, a bad dude. He's a gangster. And I would like you to pay attention to the arguments, or lack of, Senator who likes arguments and likes evidence all the time. He brings all kind of papers and documents to embarrass the whomever wants the confirmation. But this time he just makes some statements, and I will be the one asking, what is your evidence for this and this and this? And then I will discuss how he is either lying or he doesn't know. There's no way around. Either lying or he doesn't know what he's talking about, which also could be a lie by, by imbecility. Now, I told you many times, if you were, with me on this channel for some time, when I would like to figure someone's intellectual integrity, honesty, I usually ask two questions. One is a religious-based question, and the other one is a political one. So one is usually about, if you remember Noah, I ask if you believe that Noah built the ark when he was 600 years old, and if you believe that Noah died when he was 900 years old. This is the first question. And based on your answer, I, drop or keep you to, or you elevate your intelligence, honestly, or intellectual honesty. The other question has to do with the Middle East and with Israel / Putin. Because when you are usually deluded in that issue with Israel and the Palestinians, you definitely are deluded and you're supposed to hate Putin. So these are the two questions that I ask. The second one is related to Israel and Putin, kind of, with Russia. If they hate Russia and they love Israel and so on, it's clear for me. The same with Noah. No, here we have John Kennedy, which I think he is intellectually dishonest. Why? Because he makes some claims that are just either he doesn't know what he's talking about, or he knows what he's talking about and he's an asshole. And remember, I liked him. Here he is.
Here's where I disagree with the White House. To the extent that the White House said that Ukraine started the war, I disagree. I think Vladimir Putin started the war.
Okay, the first one. So he thinks that Vladimir Putin started a war. Is Senator John Kennedy, I don't know, uninformed, doesn't know what he's talking about, or he lies? Did you see his body language when he said that? He was blinking pretty fast and said it with the eyes closed. Body language tells me that's a lie. But anyway, who started the war? I think NATO started the war in 1991 with its expansion. So to say that Putin started the war, I think is very much intellectually dishonest. But let's keep going.
I also believe, through bitter experience, that Vladimir Putin is a gangster.
Bitter experience, Vladimir Putin is a gangster. I would like to hear the documents, the receipts as he called them, the evidence. Why is he a gangster? Well, bitter experience. Like what exactly? If he's a gangster, then what is Obama? What is Trump? What is Biden? What's his name? The guys who attacked Yugoslavia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria. As I said, Yugoslavia already. What are those guys? All right. So again, he says that. He started the war. Well, it's like, for instance, you say the gun shot, not the person behind. Really? Yeah, the gun shot. But who was behind the gun? So yes, Putin started the war if you start in 24th of February 2022. Well, the history, Mr. Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, did not start on the 24th of February 2022. It started in 1991. Hello? Do you know what I'm talking about? You and your gentleman West broke a promise, a gentleman agreement. Then in 2008, remember? Georgia and Ukraine will join NATO. Did you forget or you don't know that in 1994, the Budapest Memorandum clearly states, and the United States of America signed it, and Russia, that Ukraine will be neutral. In 2008, as I said, the baboon that you probably love, George W. Bush in Bucharest summit, NATO summit, said one day Georgia and Ukraine will join NATO. That's no neutrality to me. So do you know that? If you don't know, that means something. Or if you know and you ignore it to reach the conclusion about Putin starting the war, again, that shows something else. Which one is it? Do I need to remind John Kennedy that in 2014 it was with the help of foreign agencies, blah, 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 we don't mention the names, and Victoria Nuland, that it was a bloody coup in Ukraine, supported and immediately recognized the traitors who orchestrated the bloody coup in Ukraine against a legitimate democratically elected government of Viktor Yanukovych. Immediately they recognized them, the Americans who love democracy. Do I still have to to remind Mr. Kennedy? Do I have to remind Mr. Kennedy that there were Minsk I and Minsk II agreements signed, and Minsk II in 2015 became international law, that the Ukrainians will follow the steps, and they didn't? Do I need to remind him? Doesn't he know that? Does he know that in 2021, in October, November, December, and 2022, January and February, the evil Russians tried to negotiate their safety zone because NATO was at their door? Mr. Kennedy, I'm listening. So you either are a baboon or you are the other side. So incompetence or ill will? Which one is it? Which one is it? I don't think it's incompetence. Why? I know, Mr. Kennedy. All right, let's move on. It's more than that.
He's a gangster with a black heart.
He's a gangster, right? With a black heart. He knows that. How? Well, let's put religion and those make-believe, science fiction things to the side, and let's use facts and evidence as you like in those commissions. Why does he have a black heart? Why is he a gangster? I'm listening. Bring one argument too. You can say, well, Emil, I don't have time. Well, I'm asking, how did you reach that conclusion? And if you reached that conclusion, I would ask the former, 5 presidents of the United States of America, were they not gangsters? And if you tell me no, then again, ill will or simply a baboon. I'm gonna keep going. He's not done.
I don't. He makes Jeffrey Dahmer look like Mother Teresa.
Oh, that was supposed to be a joke.
He has Stalin's taste for blood.
he has Stalin's taste for blood. Like what? Tell me about it. Stalin, you mean the Gruzin, the Georgian, with your buddies Kaganovich and Yogoda? Tell me about it. What do you mean? He puts together Stalin, a mass murderer, with Putin. Okay, explain to me. Now, this is a senator who I used to like. I heard him, my first alarms raised by this senator was when it was that attack in the Middle East, the Hamas and Israel and so on. And when I saw Mr. Kennedy, how passionate he was, glorifying some and demonizing the other side, it's clear. The second question that I usually ask, you failed. So your intellectual dishonesty is right there, the same as this one. Let's go further.
And as I've said in another context, I trust this guy like I trust gas stations sushi. I mean, you can't trust him. Now,
why can't you trust him? He doesn't say that. He doesn't say why. He doesn't say why. Can you trust, for instance, let's say, George Bush administration? They bombarded 2 countries on lies. Can you trust Bill Clinton, who bombarded Yugoslavia? Yugoslavia did not attack anybody. That was illegal. Is he trusting Obama, bombarding with NATO Libya? Is he trusting the previous administrations that had illegal troops, American troops located in Syria for, 10 years, sucking Syria's oil from the northeast of Syria? Can we trust them? Can we trust the guys in 1991 with James Baker, then the State Secretary, the Secretary of State of the United States of America, telling the Russians, promising the Russians, if you agree for the unification of Germany, there's not going to be a 1-inch expansion of NATO eastward. Do you trust them? So should Putin trust you? All right. I brought you evidence. I'm listening for him. I'm waiting for him to provide me with his argument. Why? But he's jokingly, yeah, like a sushi in a gas station. A little bit more intellectual consistency and depthness or depth.
That we're going to have a settlement. We've always known we were going to have a settlement in Ukraine. Our job, and I think this is where the president's headed, is to get a settlement that lifts up Ukraine, lifts up Europe, lifts up America and the West, and diminishes Vladimir Putin.
Why? For the arguments he made that he's the bad dude like Stalin. So he built his argument with statements that are not backed by any facts provided, and then he comes with a conclusion based on that evidence that he provided. We have to do this, otherwise this guy, plus Xi Jinping, plus the Ayatollah in Iran, want to take over the world. It's not the Americans. No. It's those 3. You'll see. This is Senator Kennedy.
So he's not inclined to do this again.
So can I ask a question?
Sure you can.
I'm Siobhan Kennedy.
He's so sophisticated, so nice, yes. So
Kennedy from Channel 4 News
I like
in
your
the UK.
name.
Yeah.
You're
Why is
from
it?
the UK?
Yes.
Cool place.
Why is it then that President Trump is happy to criticize President Zelensky but will not say a single word against President Putin?
I've heard him.
the so-called journalist who asked the question, she's an operative. She's not a journalist. She's an operative. Why Zelensky? Well, Zelensky is a gangster. Can I say that? No. Why would he not say anything about the President Putin but criticizes Zelensky? Because Zelensky so far got some billions of dollars and he agreed to fight for some interest, Western interest, not for Ukraine. Do you want me to back that up with? Everything could have been settled with the Minsk agreements. He said, I don't like anything about the Minsk agreements. Remember, he was a candidate. He ran and he was elected in Ukraine based on a peace platform, not on a war platform. But if we believe Mr. Kennedy, Senator Kennedy, Putin just invaded unprovoked, man. Just like that. Undefensible. And let's see how he's going to act. He's going to tell us about, as I said, Xi Jinping, Putin, And Iran. Why Iran? Remember the second question I always ask? You have to suck those guys' thing.
Be very critical of President Putin for. I mean, I may be around him more than you, but I've heard him be very.
But when I hear people saying I've been around more than you, it doesn't mean you know more than I do. What if you're a jerk off somewhere wasting your time and I read so much, I was involved in so much. In 40 years, maybe I knew more than you knew in 70. You were a dumbass more than I was on this planet. How about that interpretation? When I hear these guys trying to make the argument based on age, that means you don't have too much here. That means you say, I'm older than you, you give me the respect. I don't give you squat. Open your mouth and I see who you are. And then that's how you gain respect. I'm not going to tell someone who's 15 or 20 or 40, you're just a baboon because you're 15. Most likely, but open your mouth. But he starts by saying that, I've been around longer. Do you mean you were a baboon longer? A bottom feeder? All right, let's see.
But to answer your question specifically, you'll have to ask him.
But are you happy when you hear him criticise? I mean, how does it make you feel?
You know, I'm an optimist.
How does it make you feel? This, how do you call it? Operative wants to solicit Kennedy's, yes, that's not fair. Zelensky is an angel. Putin is a bad guy. That means if Trump doesn't say anything bad about Putin, must be a bad guy, Trump as well.
I'm a paranoid optimist, but I try not to let this place get to me. I'm hardly ever unhappy.
But is he right to trust Putin?
One last thing on that.
I think I answered your question.
One last thing on that, Senator. Zelensky in response said that it was disinformation what the president was saying. He was also not a part of these negotiations. Is this to the detriment?
I don't want to get between President Zelensky and President Trump. I never get between a dog and a fire hydrant, man. That's the way I live my life. I think they're both good men. I think they both want the same thing.
Do you think so? How can you say this? Zelensky got Ukraine in a war. That's my assessment. Based on evidence, he could have just followed the Minsk agreements that his country signed.
I think we will get there. But put this in context.
Now he's going to tell us about the context.
There is no settlement yet. I think there will be one. And if there isn't one, we're going to have to, if there's not a good one for Ukraine and the West and America, we're going to have to ratchet up the pressure. I mean, here's the way I look at it.
We have to ratchet up the pressure. And then he said, we're not the policeman of this planet.
I don't want America to be the world's policeman.
But it is the world policeman. What are you talking about? It is. What do you mean you don't want? But everything you say seems like.
I don't.
But
I don't want Vladimir Putin to be the world's policeman either.
Because Vladimir Putin gave you so many signs he would like to be, right? Because he invaded so many countries and bombarded in the last 30 years, right? How many did he bombard in the last 30 years? Georgia. What did Georgia do? Attack South Ossetia. At the instigation of whom? Of the world policeman. Hello! How about these guys? Yugoslavia, Iraq, Afghanistan, Libya, Syria, and now they want Iran. These guys, who's the policeman? And this is a senator, dishonest.
And I'm convinced that that President Xi in China and Vladimir Putin and the Ayatollah in Iran are working together. And their goal was to have Putin dominate Central and Eastern Europe, have the Ayatollah dominate the Middle East, and have China dominate the Indo-Pacific, Sub-Saharan Africa, and Latin America. Did you hear
this senator's worldview? Did you see? Do you understand how far he is from reality? Do you think he's dumb? Do you think that whatever he said is based on stupidity, misinformation, disinformation? Or do you think he knows, but he says this because Iran wants to dominate the Middle East, and Putin wants to dominate Eastern Europe, and Xi Jinping East Asia? All right, question for this senator. How many military bases does China have all across the world? Outside of its territory? I guarantee you he doesn't know. I don't think he has one. But how many does Russia? 2. How many does Iran? I think 0. How many does the United States of America, who's not the policeman? No. 740 or so, if I remember correctly. So who is all over this planet as the policeman? Do you think this senator is a baboon again, or do you think he's ill will? I got more, a little bit more.
And that's not a world safe for America. And I don't want to be the world's policeman, but I don't want those three chowderheads to be the world's policeman either.
But he makes claims. So it's like I tell you, Gigi is a good guy, Mike is a good guy, Tom is a good guy. They should be president because they're good guys. But I didn't provide any evidence to establish that all those 3 guys are good as I say they are. So I say, based on that, the fact that I stated verbally that they are good people, they should be in charge. But I didn't establish yet the fact that they are good people. So that's what Kennedy does. Now, that is weasel-like. As I said, Kennedy failed when he started talking about the Middle East and vilifying some and glorifying the other ones, like angels and devils. There's no such a thing. But somehow, this is the senator. I don't like him anymore because he's dishonest, intellectually dishonest. Or he's a baboon. Thank you very much for being with me again today. Stay strong, stay smart, look for the truth, and be just.